how can we get strategic investors to first come in, fix, whether it's the government to hire different people to come in and to the different businesses that they're looking to privatize, fix them.
And then,
it's like the way Esther was going to be married, and she was put into
some nice clothes,
some nice perfume. She would soak into this perfume for a long time, so that as she's displayed with all these other brides, she's a bride that stands out, right?
You never truly know people until you take the time out to, that's where you say, get to know people. We've been talking since morning. We got here at 7 a.m. It is officially 6:30. Rina has given us value. Of course, we've had breaks, but she can't compress her 40-something plus years all down in one day. But we are super grateful for the amount of value that she's given us. So I'm going to bring this to a close. If there's so much more, we will, that if you want, first and foremost, I tell you to go and subscribe to Money Wise with Rina Hicks. There are so many videos there, I know. Aizo here edited a couple of them.
He did, not just a couple. Aizo shot a lot of them.
So, 2023, Rina, there's a lot that I'm sure you did this year. Let me start you off. I saw a photo of you with our president one early morning when he came to NSC.
Yeah.
My question, I know probably the reason why he was coming there was to show confidence and showing how the government is going to privatize company, list some for IPOs, some of them are going to be sold. But what's your opinion and your thoughts about the Kenyan government privatizing, is it parastatals? Yes.
Yeah. I think privatizing as a concept is very, very important. Government is not in the business of doing business. Government is in the business of creating an enabling environment so businesses can thrive. So the moment you have governments in businesses, then it's not what do I call it? A fair and level playing field for everybody. Again, capital markets are key. And through capital markets, then capital flows to the most productive, effective, efficient sectors of an economy. And so by privatizing, now it's like you're protecting a baby, you're with this baby, but then the baby needs to walk and the baby needs to function. But when a company is not privatized, then they get favors, they get all these sorts of things, and it doesn't run like a proper business. So it's not effectively run. The government governance perhaps is not as great, but privatizing helps. So privatization, it's a big discussion. But one of the things I think it will do is provide additional investment opportunities for us. But within the context of what we have, I think there needs to be a step in that privatization process, in my personal view, where the companies are first restructured to the point where they are viable businesses that are investable. So first begin by creating structures, systems in place, the right leadership, the right governance that can then present a truly viable business that investors would be interested in, and then come to the capital markets as far as IPO is concerned. So perhaps there's a level there of how can we get strategic investors to first come in, fix, whether it's the government to hire different people to come in and to the different businesses that they're looking to privatize, fix them.
And then,
it's like the way Esther was going to be married, and she was put into
some nice clothes,
some nice perfume. She would soak into this perfume for a long time, so that as she's displayed with all these other brides, she's a bride that stands out, right? So it's the same thing. They're not, even if the government decides it's privatizing XYZ, it's not coming as a single company. There's all these other investment options that exist. And Kenya is an open country. I, as an individual, can decide to invest in South Africa, in Rwanda, in the US, in the UK, in Australia. I can invest anywhere. Why would I choose this one company to invest as opposed to putting my money elsewhere? Again, capital flows. and decides where to go based on what the potential return is. So that needs to be also put into context. Okay. However, even as I say that, as an industry, those of us in the capital markets in Kenya have been waiting years for this privatization process to be at the place where they say we're going to privatize. It's just that unfortunately, time has happened, poor management has happened, and so the businesses that are being privatized are not as exciting as they used to be.
Okay.
But there's still hope they can be fixed, and we'll be able to then get opportunities to be able to invest and make money as investors.
So I heard you previously say that the last IPO was in 2014. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why is it taken? Why is that? What's your thoughts?
Hey, studies have gone into this one. Research. There's questions. People have been summoned to spaces to answer that same question. So I can't say I have one answer. But of course I have a view. I think it's multiple things. I think, first of all, our rules and regulations have not been changed for many years. Since 2002, we've had the same listing regulations, and then the world has changed. 2002, when was that? Mm-hmm. It's only just within the last month or month and a half when we've had the public offer and listing disclosure requirements changed. So now the requirements have changed, and there's many things that have been changed, and it's a good thing. But for me, who's been in the industry, we've lost opportunities as a country to different ways of raising capital. And in particular, private equity has grown. But this is not just a problem of Kenya, it's global. We're finding even in South Africa, a lot of companies are delisting, moving away from the capital markets.
For real?
Yeah. Because of just the way that system works.
Okay.
So that then, people are finding it easier to raise private capital as opposed to be listed on a stock exchange. So there needs to be just a global rethinking of how the capital markets functions. The rules and regulations are great for protecting investors, but those rules are also prohibiting people from coming.
Yeah, you've opened up a can of worms and a rabbit hole that I want to go down just for one now. From an entrepreneurship perspective, I see there's a lot, and I hear a young generation talking about venture capitalists, private equity, but then all for the sake that becomes the trend. So we're seeing companies that are coming that for amazing stories, look at what we did, look at what we did, look at what we did, look at what we did. Next thing, disappeared, gone. Or what happened to that one amazing story? Yeah. This company that was propped up to be the next, and this word is being used so well, Kenyan unicorn, I'm sorry, I'm a bit irritated by the fact that what's happening? What's this thing? Or say, and it's not to say that private equity is wrong, it's wonderful. But talk a little bit about this space.
Okay, let me start by saying that has changed. Since COVID, and perhaps maybe 2019, it's not been very easy to raise capital for most of these startups, as it was prior, before COVID.
Is it also as a result of, what's that company that, the unicorn from Nigeria that brought us some drama globally, Africa market? It's in movement of money. Anyway, I forgot it.
Flutterwave.
Yes.
Well, I think that has come later. Okay. I think, okay. So in 2020, COVID happened. And when COVID happened, different countries realize that, there's lockdowns, people are not able to go to work, companies are shutting down, you can't go to a restaurant. Economies sort of grinded to a halt.
Yes.
But economies need to continue to run. So what happened? Government gave stimulus. So, for example, in the US, they give free money to people to be able to get people to be able to buy food and to function. And so for money to continue to circulate in the economy, which was a good thing, but it has had its impact. Because what happened? When you have a huge supply of money, you have more money chasing fewer goods, and what happens? Then inflation goes up. So inflation started to go up everywhere. And in order to stem that high rate of inflation, inflation went up to 9% in some countries, which is insane in these developed markets. In order to sort of stem that, what did central banks do? Increase interest rates.
Yep.
Now, for many, many, many years, we had interest rates at 0%, 1%,
In the
2%.
States,
Yeah.
Yes.
T-bills, treasury bonds, 1.5%, 2%, 3%. Suddenly, they've gone to 5.5%.
Wow.
Then now, these emerging markets, the situation started to change, beginning with Sri Lanka and the challenges they had there in the economy.
Wow.
Anyway, I'll not go into those details. But the point is that emerging economies were attractive, particularly Africa was very interesting and attractive for a lot of investors, because if you put your money in the bank, you're getting like 0%, 1%. But you bring it to Africa, there's a possibility you can get 10% and more with your money. So Africa looks attractive. Africa was this, very attractive, potentially great place to invest your money. And so it was so easy for all these startups to, I remember, because I'm an investor as well. So there's this startup that came, we've got this idea, blah, blah, blah. It's a fintech, it's very interesting. What do you value your business is $1 million. Oh, you value your business at $1 million? How much are you making in revenues? Oh, so for revenues, we're going to start in December. I'm saying you're not making even a shilling in revenue. And you're valuing your business at what? Oh, because of the tech, I don't know what. And they raised money. So because there was a lot of money chasing very few great opportunities. So I don't know, there was just a lot of money floating around. People are looking for opportunities. And so companies that were not even good managed to raise capital. Anyway, where am I going? So what happened with COVID? Interest rates went up because inflation is high. When interest rates went up, if I'm an investor sitting in Dubai and I'm looking to place my money in good opportunities, and suddenly the US, that's a stable market,
is doing 5%.
Is doing 5%. And then Kenya, I can see, or Nigeria, I can see, this government, this president, now they're making sort of changes. In fact, currency, I'm not able to get my money out. Let me get out. Let me just tell you, Africa has faced a crisis of exits.
Wow.
There's inflation, there's political challenges, economic decisions that are not great, huge debt. And guys are now wondering, will I be able to get my money out? And
dollar shortages, but not even just dollar shortages. When interest rates go up, also the dollar strengthened. And when the dollar strengthens and you invested in a certain currency, your investment, you made 10%. Right? So guys just started exiting the market. So we've had a huge amount of exits from Africa, from the stock market, people want to invest now in hard currency and also in markets that are solid. So companies that could easily raise capital by saying, I'm a fintech and I'm in Africa and there's a potential 9 billion people. Okay, I'm just making up numbers. But the point is, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. That story doesn't sell anymore. So the environment has shifted. It's not easy to raise capital anymore. And so for you to raise money today, there's still money, and it is still available. But for you to raise money today, you need to demonstrate viability. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice and not nice, but nice also in the sense that a generation doesn't think that this thing is... let me just say, thank you for explaining. Let me not give even my opinion. I'm not the expert in this. What about locals giving money to local...
Yeah, so that's a really interesting point. So my friend Ken Njoroge and his wife, Koi, are doing something fantastic that I just think is so brilliant. They've started a fund, and I don't even know that this is public information, but I'm sharing anyway. So they started a fund to do just that because they understand the local context. They understand what companies need. They have seen the pressures that a lot of these technology companies go through to drive revenues that are not making sense because you're burning cash and so on and so forth. But I love what they're doing. And they're locals who have understood the pains and the challenges of dealing with investors, but also have the wisdom of having raised their own money, run their own local business, and exited successfully.
Cellulant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be able to then...
One of the most amazing success stories that we have.
100%.
Yep.
And so now they want to do the same for other, because there's many brilliant young people who are starting businesses. but capital is an issue. And so when you have a local who understands the local context, that understands the local challenges, that's a better investor than somebody coming from elsewhere that has so many other influences that determines where their capital goes.
Actually, that's a story I'd love to hear.
Yeah, you should interview Ken.
Yeah, I think his story would be something else, especially the duration that he spent in the industry. So, okay, I like the rabbit hole we entered. Currently, then, where are we right now with whole raising of capital? Okay, let me also ask, Africans abroad, Africans who are abroad playing roles in Africans locally raising money.
100%.
You can, someone like Brian is a good example of this. People who've got their skill set and they're in the Wall Street. Just explain that. You understand what I'm asking?
Okay, I actually thought you were talking about diasporans.
Not just diasporans.
Sending money home. And I was like, by the way, that's been another, like the level of diaspora money that comes into the country is getting to the level where it's more than horticulture.
For real?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know for a fact, but I haven't looked at the numbers recently. But I know that the numbers are so huge now that diaspora has become a core foreign currency earner for our government.
No wonder.
And they're beginning to pay attention.
What Gigi said yesterday?
What did he say?
He was like, don't come home. We have no jobs for you. Just send us our money.
Yeah, that's a strategy. And I think it's brilliant because Kenyans are great workers. As I was traveling in September and I was going through Qatar. And it was amazing. I felt like I'm in Nairobi. The guys driving those carts, the guys scanning your stuff, the guys in security, the staff in the entire airport. I think 90% are Africans.
Yeah.
And then of those Africans, like 90% are Kenyans. Yeah. And they can just see you're Kenyan. Like, I look Kenyan, I have a forehead for a Kenyan, and I just like, Sasa, Ugopoa. And I'm like, okay. I guess I have Kenyan written all over my face. But anyway, and I think that's a fantastic strategy.
Yes, it is.
Because they're earning in dollars. There's the pressure for unemployment in the country. In fact, that was one of our strategies at the Youth Fund. Beyond lending money to youth, it was also trying to see where can youth be employed outside of the country. I'll
give Ruto that. He's sending a couple of people outside the country. He's thinking in the dollars in terms of them returning KRA and all those things.
And it's not even about KRA. It's also the same way that
the remittance home.
Yeah, remittance is home. So parents, other people, siblings have money to be able to go buy bread, and that money then circulates in the economy. So it's not even from a carry perspective. It's more, there's more money that will then circulate in the economy. Yeah.
From the diaspora, I was also bringing in the aspect of there are very many Africans now who are in influential places to advise the investors on opportunities back home.
Yeah.
Because if they don't even know about the opportunity, they won't do it. So I think that's it's not that big, of course, but there's one or two people who can be like, hey, just check out this market for the first time, making them think of Africa as an opportunity.
No, 100%. And I think we have so many brilliant Kenyans. Kenyans are brilliant. And if you go to all corners of this planet, you'll find a Kenyan. I mean, I've been to spaces where I'm just like, there's a Kenyan who's leading this business. There's a Kenyan who's involved here. And that helps our brand as a country. And of course, I think there's a significant advantage there, even from an advisory perspective. And I think even the way that we've grown as a country, where economy is concerned, despite all the drama that has happened over the years, the advancement we've had when you look at our neighbors geographically, as Kenya, has also been as a result of just the level of education that Kenyans have had. I think we have to give it to Moi, because during his regime, he pushed education so hard.
Oh, I get it.
And so we were big on...
you have to give it to Moi.
You have to.
Damn, it's a while since I've had that.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I know, it is what it is. You're right.
That was his legacy.
Yep.
And so education was big, and parents did everything that they could to ensure that their children went to school. And as a result of that, education has been a central part of who we are as a people. and we take it seriously. And so because of that, then we're able to get into spaces that other Africans perhaps may not have been able to. The only other contenders would be Nigeria, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and maybe Ghana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In 2023, I've heard you talk a lot about flying out and leaving the country. It's almost like you are Ruto.
Well, no, just twice. Okay, maybe 3 times.
But what were you doing in Ethiopia? And you mentioned Ethiopia and being in rooms.
Yeah.
That's. Do you want to touch on that a bit?
So Ethiopia is exciting for me